The grease came off the 25mm chain gun with methodical precision, each component cleaned as if lives depended on it. Technical Sergeant Sarah Chen had been maintaining the Bradley fighting vehicle for 8 months, invisible to the soldiers who passed by daily. They saw the quiet maintenance tech in coveralls, always working alone, never making eye contact. But when Colonel Martinez walked through the motor pool that scorching afternoon and caught a glimpse of fabric beneath her rolled-up sleeve, everything changed. What he saw wasn't supposed to exist: a Ranger table on a woman. In 2003. Welcome to Hidden Heroes. Before we continue this emotional story, tell us in the comments from which city in the world are you watching this video today. And if you think stories like this need to be heard, hit that subscribe button to support the channel. We're growing every day, and I sincerely thank you for being a part of it. Forward Operating Base. Thunder sat in one of Afghanistan's most remote corners, just 30 kilometers from the Pakistani border. The dust never settled, wind constantly carried desert sand through the air, and temperatures reached 120 degrees even in the shade. In these conditions, equipment maintenance wasn't just routine work. It was a matter of survival. Sarah Chen, technical sergeant, 28 years old, California native, had been working in the motor pool for 8 months. According to official records, she'd graduated from a technical school in Pennsylvania and worked as a civilian auto mechanic before joining the Army. The records also showed she was ordinary support personnel with no special training and no combat experience. The records were lying. Sarah's real story had begun in 2001 at Fort Benning. At that time, women officially couldn't participate in Ranger training, but Special Operations Command was quietly running an experimental program with selected female personnel. The program was so classified that only 5 people knew its true scope. Sarah was one of 12 women chosen. Ranger training was nearly impossible even for men. For women, no one expected them to survive. During the 61-day course, Sarah and the other women were held to the same standards as their male counterparts. They carried the same weights, ran the same distances, endured the same hunger and exhaustion. Sarah completed the training along with only 3 of the 12 women. The graduation ceremony was classified. Families weren't invited. No photographs were taken. Just a small group of officers, 4 female Rangers, and another page written in history. The Ranger tab given to Sarah wasn't officially recorded anywhere, because officially this training had never happened. After graduation, Sarah joined classified operations with the 75th Ranger Regiment in Afghanistan on special missions along the Pakistani border. In official reports, she appeared as a male team member, thanks to identity alteration technology. For 2 years, she participated in missions targeting Taliban leaders and al-Qaeda operatives. Then, everything went wrong. In early 2003, during an operation near the Pakistani border, Sarah's team was ambushed. Night vision equipment failed, communications were cut, and they were pinned down under enemy fire. Sarah managed to carry a wounded teammate to safety, but the process changed her. Physical wounds healed, but mental wounds penetrated deep. After being diagnosed with PTSD, Sarah was given a choice: continue in a normal military role with her Ranger background completely erased, or be discharged. She chose to continue serving. But now her identity was recreated from scratch. That's why Technical Sergeant Sarah Chen existed at Forward Operating Base Thunder, an identity that carried no trace of Ranger Sarah Chen. For 8 months, the system had worked perfectly. Sarah maintained Bradley fighting vehicles in the motor pool, quietly performing her duty. No one questioned why she inspected every component of the M242 Bushmaster cannon with such expertise, or why her movements while cleaning weapon systems were more precise than experienced combat engineers. Sarah had perfected the art of becoming invisible. She kept her head down, avoided eye contact, did her job, and left. Other soldiers knew her only as the woman in the motor pool. Even her name was barely known. This situation was perfect for her, because being invisible meant no one asked who she really was. That day was one of those scorching afternoons when the Afghan desert attacked with all its fury. Sarah was cleaning the 25mm chain gun of the 3rd Brigade's Bradley, part of routine maintenance. The equipment had heated up to 120 degrees, and every metal surface burned to touch. But Sarah continued working without showing any discomfort. Colonel Robert Martinez commanded the 2nd Armored Division. 45 years old, veteran of 3 war campaigns, a leader respected by his soldiers. That day he was conducting an unscheduled inspection, routine check, measuring morale, reviewing equipment status. As Martinez walked toward the motor pool, he noticed Sarah, a technician working alone, nothing unusual. But as he approached, something caught his attention, the woman's working method. Every movement was calculated, efficient, no wasted energy. This was something beyond experience. "How's it going, Sergeant?" Martinez asked as he approached the vehicle Sarah was working on. Sarah looked up, immediately standing at attention. "Good, sir. Routine maintenance, sir." Martinez continued watching Sarah work. The technique she used while cleaning the 25mm gun barrel was impressive. Each component was systematically removed and cleaned, then reassembled in perfect order. "Have you been doing weapons maintenance for long, Sergeant?" he asked. "About 8 months, sir," Sarah replied without looking up. Martinez frowned. 8 months was very short for a technician, but the woman's expertise level seemed to require years of experience. He decided to look more closely. As Sarah continued cleaning the gun, she reached up to grab a tool from the upper rack. During the movement, the cuff of her coverall slipped up, revealing part of the uniform underneath. Martinez's eye immediately caught the detail there, a small piece of fabric, faded and worn. But the shape was familiar, very familiar. A ranger table. Martinez froze, literally froze. His breathing stopped, his heart seemed to quit beating, because what he saw was impossible. In 2003, women couldn't participate in ranger training, officially. There couldn't be a woman who took this training and earned the right to wear the tab. But there it was, before his eyes, the black ranger tab on tan fabric. Sarah noticed Martinez had frozen. She immediately lowered her arm, but it was too late. The damage was done. For a while, neither said anything. Sarah's heart was racing wildly, but she showed nothing on her face. Martinez was still in shock. "Sergeant," Martinez finally spoke, his voice lower than normal tone. "Could you come with me?" Sarah put down her tools and followed Martinez. Both walked silently toward the command tent. Other soldiers watched them, curiously trying to guess what was happening between them. Inside the command tent, Martinez indicated for Sarah to sit, then closed and locked the door. "Sergeant Chen," Martinez said, leaning against his desk, "I'm going to ask you a very serious question, and I want an honest answer." Sarah sat upright, her eyes fixed on a point in front of her. "Yes, sir." "Is that tab real?" A long silence followed. Sarah evaluated various options for answering. She could deny it, say it was fake, or tell the truth, but there was nothing left to hide. "Yes, sir," she finally said. "It's real." Martinez sank into his chair. He didn't know how this answer would affect him, but it was much more powerful than he'd expected. "How is this possible?" he asked. "Women can't participate in ranger training." "They can't officially," Sarah corrected, "but sometimes there can be unofficial programs too." Martinez stood up, began pacing in the tent. "You participated in an experimental program, is that right?" "Sir, I don't have authorization to discuss these matters," Sarah replied. "My security clearance isn't sufficient." "Your clearance isn't sufficient?" Martinez stopped at the edge of the tent. "Well, is my clearance sufficient?" Sarah looked at him, making direct eye contact for the first time. In her eyes was something Martinez had never seen before, a deep, old weariness. The weariness in the eyes of someone who had seen much, experienced much. "Maybe, sir," Sarah said, "but I can't make that decision." Martinez picked up his phone, dialed a special number, a line he only called in emergencies. "I want to speak with General Wallace," he said into the phone. "Colonel Martinez, yes, I'll wait." A few minutes later, the connection was established with the general. "General, there's a very important situation. I've encountered a sergeant named Sarah Chen. She's wearing a ranger tab. Yes, sir, female. Understood. Yes, I'll wait." Martinez hung up and turned to Sarah. "The general's coming here within an hour. Until then, this conversation never happened." For an hour, both waited silently. Martinez occasionally looked at Sarah, trying to understand how she had reached this point. Sarah stared at the wall, accepting that the secret she'd protected for 8 months had finally been revealed. When General Wallace arrived, he brought 2 security officers with him. He was a tall, stern man with 30 years of service who had seen many things. "Sergeant Chen, the general said as soon as he entered the tent. "You know why you're here." "Yes, sir." Sarah stood up, assumed attention position. "Colonel Martinez, could you step outside?" "This is classified." After Martinez left the tent, the general turned to Sarah. "Sergeant, is it true that you participated in Ranger Program Alpha 7? "Yes, sir." "And is it true that you were wounded in the 2003 Pakistan border operation?" "Yes, sir." The general took a deep breath. "So why are you working in the motor pool? Why are you hiding your Ranger identity?" Sarah didn't answer for a long time. Then when she began to speak, her voice was calm but pained. "Sir, after that operation it was determined that I couldn't return to normal life. PTSD, nightmares, flashbacks. Program commanders gave me two options: continue working in a normal assignment with my Ranger background completely erased, or leave the military. And you chose the first." "Yes, sir. I didn't want to stop serving my country, but I could no longer be Ranger Sarah Chen. I could only be Technical Sergeant Sarah Chen." The general looked saddened. "You've been working here for 8 months. Have you had any problems?" "No, sir. I do my job. I don't bother anyone." "But this isn't fair," the general said. "You're a Ranger. You're a hero, hiding in a motor pool. This isn't right." Sarah shook her head. "Sir, I'm not a hero. I'm just someone trying to do my duty." The general studied her for a long time. Then he made his decision. "Sergeant, I'm transferring you from here to Special Operations Command. There, your Ranger expertise will be valued, and you'll serve in the Women's Special Forces Development Program." Sarah was surprised. "Sir, I'm not ready. Not yet." "I'll determine whether you're ready or not," the general interrupted. "For 8 months, you've maintained Bradley's and done a perfect job. Because you know that tab belongs to you. The time for hiding it is over." Before the general left the tent, he stopped. "Sergeant, this country needs soldiers like you. Rangers don't need to hide." 2 weeks later, Sarah was at Special Operations Command headquarters at Fort Bragg. She no longer hid her tab. For the first time in 8 months, she truly felt at home. Colonel Martinez had come to see her off. "Sergeant," he'd said, "you can't imagine how shocked I was when I saw you in the motor pool that day." "Sir," Sarah had replied, "I was equally shocked." "Why?" "Because I really thought no one would notice." Martinez had laughed. "Sergeant, a Ranger tab always reveals itself, no matter how much you try to hide it." At Fort Bragg, Sarah played a key role in developing the Women's Special Forces program. Thanks to her experience and expertise, she made invaluable contributions to training the new generation of female operators. The Ranger tab now stood proudly on her uniform, and every day she remembered the shocked expression on Martinez's face when she was cleaning that 25mm gun on the Bradley. Sometimes the greatest heroism emerges in the quietest moments, and sometimes the truth you try to hide reveals itself in the most unexpected ways. Because true heroes can be found not only on battlefields, but in motor pools, maintenance shops, in the most ordinary corners of the world, and their value, when finally recognized, can change the entire system. Sometimes a hero hides in plain sight, not from shame, but from necessity. Sometimes the greatest warriors are the ones maintaining the weapons rather than wielding them. And sometimes a single glimpse of forbidden fabric can change everything. This story was brought to you by Hidden Heroes. Before we leave you today, here's our question. Have you ever known someone whose true capabilities were hidden beneath an ordinary exterior? Tell us in the comments about the hidden heroes in your life. And if you think stories like this need to be heard, hit that subscribe button to support the channel. We'll see you in the next one.